Okay, I'm going to address all this drone craziness that's been happening in the last few weeks. Now, are they all drones that are being seen out there, or are they something else? According to FAA rules, any drone that is greater than a half a pound has to be registered and has to follow basic rules such as they have to have a red light, a green light, and a white light. The red light is on the left-hand side, the green light is on the right-hand side, and the white light is in the tail. So if a drone is a legal drone, it must have those color lights. If it's not legal, and which I'm sure there are, because most of the drones are being made in China, and all of them are created to follow the FAA rules. According to the FAA, there are well over 1 million drones registered in the U.S. alone. So, are we seeing all drones, or are we seeing something else? So, I've been looking at what kind of UFOs or UAPs we're seeing, and there seems to be quite a few different styles. Most common one I've seen is the white orb, which is just a big bright white light. There seems to be also the plasmoids. A plasmoid looks like a plasma cloud. You may remember about a year ago an occurrence in a Miami mall where a plasmoid appeared out of nowhere in the mall, and seemingly extraterrestrials would climb out of it. And it was well publicized because a whole bunch of police officers were called to the scene, and somehow that just kind of disappeared from the news. So, isn't it surprised how some of that stuff really happens? There was another large floating object that appeared in Las Vegas last week. It looked a lot like a spacecraft out of The Fifth Element. So that's another one. And one that had been missing that I hadn't noticed yet, one that was well publicized by Colonel Fravor, of an occurrence that he had in the 80s, were the Tic Tacs. These are crafts shaped like Tic Tacs that could be as large as school buses. So those have finally occurred. And also the good old flying saucer, where you've got a saucer-shaped craft that has the lights flashing all around it that spin around. So there seems to be more than one style of extraterrestrial, I'm going to call them what I think they are, UFOs. Now, this is nothing new. UFOs have been crashing on Earth since, well, the earliest recorded event of our time was in 1933 in Italy. Now, I guess I should back up a little bit and go further than that. Every known civilization, ancient civilization, has had some sort of a report of contact with extraterrestrials. They all call them with different things, but even in Egypt's hieroglyphics, there's descriptions of flying objects, and or interpretations, I suppose, Mayans, Incas, even the North American natives referred to them as celestial visitors. So this is nothing new. So all right, so getting back to modern day, of course we all know about 1947 and Roswell, New Mexico. There was also the creation of Area 51. This is an area that was denied of existence for the longest time. But the U.S. government is an expert at creating plausible deniability. So the senators would go to the military and say, well, you guys got Area 51, and the military says, no, we don't. That's because they had classified Area 51 under the Department of Energy / Nuclear Division. And that area, or that department, was always clouded in extreme secrecy because that's where that's the department that designed the nuclear bombs. So eventually that came out to be, and that Area 51 was part of the Nellis Air Force Range, and it's just one area out of 62 areas. Now they did a bunch of nuclear testing there, bomb testing, but Area 51 was rented out to the spy agency to develop the U-2 and the SR-71 spy planes, also known as Archangel at the time. So now nobody's denying that Area 51 exists anymore, but they still hide what's going on over there. All right, I'm going to move to 1973. There was a Canadian Defense Minister, Paul Hellyer, who came forward stating that he was briefed on the existence of extraterrestrials. And he said that as of that time, they were aware of 6 different races. So, are there extraterrestrials? I think so. I mean, considering the vastness of the universe, I mean, we've never seen the end of it. There are billions of star systems. That means that there are also billions of potential planets that could support life, like Earth. So it's statistically impossible that we are the only intelligent beings in this universe. All right. As far as reporting UFOs, there was a Navy intelligence officer named Bill Cooper in the 70s that used to spill the beans about this. There was I'm not sure if he's a nuclear scientist. I think he's a propulsion expert. Bob Lazar in 1984 came out stating that he had been in Area 51 and he had seen extraterrestrials and he had seen flying saucers. And if nothing else, his story has remained consistent throughout. And he also claimed to have been exposed to a new element 115, which was part of the propulsion system for the UFOs. And sure as hell, that element has been discovered since. So I have to give that guy some credibility here. Now I mentioned Colonel Fravor a little bit earlier. He was a Air Force pilot who had a close encounter with the TikTok type UFOs, and he described them as moving at incredible speeds, meaning they could go from 30,000 feet to 10 feet above the water in a fraction of a second. That's incredible. That's certainly beyond what we're capable of. There's another fella, Dr. Stephen Greer, has some pretty fantastic stories about the U.S. military, or at least the covert part of the military, has had access to these extraterrestrial mechanisms for years. And he says that, according to his knowledge, a lot of the stuff we're seeing today called drones is the U.S. military. There was also, in 1984, there was a very well publicized extraterrestrial or flying saucer report in England at the Lincoln Heath RAF, and they also reported a lot of excessive radiation remaining on that site after this event. There's also a ufologist, Dr. Stanton Friedman, who lays it out pretty clearly. He describes how there were many attempts by the governments to clarify this UFO deal, and these were, well, the first one was called Majestic 12. That was in the 50s, and then that migrated into becoming Project Blue Book. And according to Mr. Friedman, a lot of the conclusions were just gaslighting. They were complete cover-ups. They were taking absolute silly arguments and trying to dispense with all of the sightings. But even with their greatest efforts, they were still left with a considerable percentage, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1/3 of these sightings that they still could not explain away with swamp gas. And I swear, what we're seeing today is like an episode right out of these science fiction movies. What I've been seeing online about, there seems to be conflagrations between some of these UFOs. Looks like they're fighting. And I can't help it, but I need to do my best imitation of what's his name? Riptide? No, I forget the guy's name. The gentleman in Men in Black, the boss guy, said, "Well, we got an intergalactic war going on here." I don't want to say, is that what's going on? And then when I go into AI, it looks like the worst parts of the movie, the Terminator's coming, and now they're also intending to flood the world with AI-driven robots. So are we going to see iRobot coming to truth? Wow. Yeah. So in closing, these drones might be a misdirection to cover up the fact that we have UFOs visiting us en masse. For what reason? I don't know. Are they against Trump? Well, probably not. But because it's happening all over the world. There's reports of this occurring everywhere now, not just in New Jersey. So, yeah, I'm going to keep investigating this stuff. I am a scientist of sorts, so I try to keep things into context. I started with the FAA rules about drones. So if you see one that has a red and green light flashing, it's probably a drone. But if it doesn't have those, then it is either illegal or it's something else altogether. Wow. Well, that's it for that rant. Please subscribe. Please come back. I will be ranting on my daily walks as I've been wanting to do this for years. I just finally got a medium to do it with. So, talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.